to CounterSurveil, your rapid-fire cyber intelligence update. Stay tuned as we dive into today's breaking headlines, key defenses, and a quick cyber roundup. Follow us on Iron Geek's YouTube every Monday at 7 EST. Chinese hackers accessed campaign calls of Harris and Trump through wiretap vulnerabilities. Sophos caught Chinese hackers targeting firewalls in a 5-year operation. Today's Spotlight voice phishing evolves with AI, with CEO targeted by AI voice clone asking employees for credentials. Key defenses to keep in mind are never trust urgent voice requests, always implement callback verification, and use multi-factor authentication. Okta's authentication bypass affects long usernames. SVR hackers are using malicious RDP files. Colorado voting passwords have been leaked online. Stay informed, stay secure. Follow us on Iron Geek's YouTube every Monday at 7 Eastern for the latest.
Hello, welcome to the cast. With us today, we have a couple of guests. Sledge is going to be kind enough to introduce them, and I'm going to take a back seat and let him drive.
So for this episode, I wanted to kind of have a social engineering roundtable, talk about some war stories. So for this, I brought in an old coworker that I used to work with. I guess he's using his name, Josh. Josh, tell us about yourself.
Oh no, I've been undone. All right. So for me, I've been in offensive cyber security work for roughly 15 years, or I'm headed on it. I've got a master's degree from Georgia Tech in cybersecurity. That is, currently the second highest rated program in the nation, short to Carnegie Mellon. I've done everything under the sun from your standard pen test, internal, external, web application. I've done mobile apps. Cloud is big right now. I've been doing a lot of cloud testing. I've done your social engineering, your vishing, like you've got headlined here today. So I've been around, I've been beat up and spit out. So here I am.
Perfect. And then also with us, we have Harpy Eagle. He's one of the guys that I was mentioning on our other podcast where I said you don't need to go to college. I helped train him up, and now he's borderline team lead. So tell us about yourself.
Yeah. Well, me and Steve met. He was coming through Denver to go to a bar. He was down there for a conference and was wanting to get a drink. So I met up with him, and we started talking about security and
backstory. We used to be in a band together.
Oh yeah, we used to be a band together in high school, so we've known each other for a long time. But yeah, I was working in a kitchen, not making very much money, didn't know where to go, trying to find a new career, trying to figure out what to do. And then Steve just kind of came out of my life out of nowhere and was just like, "Hey, you should check this out." So I started looking into hacking and started looking into.
I was like, "You like money?"
Yeah, exactly. And so I started looking into that and started really enjoying it and understanding the information and started studying a lot more and then started going to conferences, went to DEF CON. I was even a DEF CON goon, sleeping on hotel floors, whatever I could do to get down there and meet people. Met enough people, and then Steve invited me to move down to Georgia so I could find a career opportunity. And I came down here and started talking and meeting with more people and ended up landing the gig I'm at right now. I've been doing. I
think your first conference was TorCon, wasn't it? 2016.
Yep. And it was awesome.
That's when you mispronounced interpreter, so we gave you the first handle of meter breeder.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been doing blue team work for about almost 4 years now, and just really love it. It's really awesome. And I pretty much take any opportunity I could get my hands on when it comes to working in this field. I've been doing cyber threat intelligence on the team I'm working on, brand protection, working with the purple team and different things like that. Just trying to communicate with them and see what they're doing, how they're getting into our network and seeing if we see their activity and what our tools are catching. And it's been a really cool experience. And now I'm here. And Steve offered me the opportunity to do some fishing the other day, and I couldn't help but jump on it and just say, "Hey, something new I've never tried. Let's go for it."
Well, let's use that as a segue and just say, hey, it was your first time. How was it for you? Were you nervous? Because you killed it.
Honestly, I wasn't really that nervous. I went into it with the mindset that I was talking to.
And for context, this is voice phishing.
Yeah. So I went into it with the context. I was just talking to a customer or client, just asking them to validate information that we needed to fulfill, and we needed to get more information on the patients. But so I have to talk to clients all the time in the role I'm in now, and talk to people all the time. So I just kind of approached it with that mindset, and I wasn't nervous at all, honestly. And it was actually a lot of fun. It's kind of amazing how much information you get from somebody with just spoofing your ID on your phone.
Yeah.
Especially when their caller system automatically associates you with that user and bypasses a bunch of the authentication that they normally have to go through.
Oh,
All
yeah.
they ask is the automated system, do you work for XYZ? You just say, yes.
Because now that the caller ID matches what they expect, on top of you saying yes, why ask any other questions? They're obviously calling from there.
Yeah.
Like,
And
well, it could be faked.
we found out doing 50 calls that they don't validate at all. Sometimes they might start asking a few more questions here and there, but really you just have to keep them on the phone, keep talking, and sometimes play a little dumb, and usually they'll just keep going with it.
I accidentally, I'm going to say I did it on purpose, but I accidentally used the wrong number from the wrong location. And that set off some red flags. And the lady was like, which location do you work from? Or are you calling from? And I was like, I can't hear you. You're breaking up. What was that? And then she just gave up and gave me all the information I wanted.
Yeah, the very last call I did just probably like 20 minutes ago, I was just like, hey, I got the claim number and the name, but I don't have any other information. What can you give me? And they just pretty much went down the list and just gave me everything.
I used that
Nice.
pretext on my last one and I got burned. I was like, all right, Joe, you try.
I even tried getting social security numbers too, and they sent me to 3 different departments.
And then
And
you
then
find out
just-
they don't even have them.
Yeah, to find out that they don't have that information.
It was a valiant effort, though. If they had them, I'm sure they would have given them to you.
Oh, I'm
they
sure
would, for
they
sure.
wanted to.
Did they end up faxing anything over?
I don't think so.
we were
That would
able
have
to
been
get
a
fax
great
numbers and give them our own fax number, though, which is
They
Which
just
is a
took
huge-
arbitrary numbers for faxes. And last time I worked with these guys, they actually sent patient data and x-rays to a personal email address. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, that hurts my brain.
There
We
was
got to the point
one.
where-
There was only one part of the company that had a PIN number on it, and that was billing.
Nice.
And I tried to get past the PIN number, but they wanted you to wait 2 or 3 days, and I'm like, well, I don't have that much time, so whatever. Change the pretext.
There you go.
Yeah. I've
can
tested a
overcome.
hospital before. I've tested hospitals before, and I found that they had OWA, internet facing, no brute force protections. I just went and grabbed all of their emails that I could get off the interwebs,
that is
and then
exactly how
use
it
a
works.
seasonal password dictionary, and I got 3 of their
Yep.
users. And then I used that to get inside. And
Every
then
time.
from there, I even found a machine while I was probing inside the network that was like read writable from this basic user account, and on it X mammograms. And I'm like, wow, this is awkward.
Fax machine.
It's like, how do
No
I
way.
talk about this in the report? I don't know.
Yeah. One of my favorite tools, if you can only get access to somebody's email, is Ruler, because then you can set up a malicious rule. So whenever an email is sent to them, it'll execute that rule and say pull down a payload and run it on the computer. It's fun shit.
Did I hear you
That sounds
right? You
good.
said you found your ex's mammograms?
What, me? No,
No, he
No,
said
no.
mammogram.
basic user.
Yeah.
Oh,
he-
I misheard you. Okay,
Yeah,
never mind.
they did,
That
Disregard
was a
it.
complete another direction right there.
yeah, no, it was more like really old ladies. So
Oh, okay.
Sounds like he found a fax machine is what it sounds like.
yeah, fun times. It was
So
awkward.
what was
yeah.
that one you were telling us before on the pre-show?
Oh, for the social engineering
Yeah.
engagement that I had. Yeah. So I was working with a large bank, and what ended up, we ended up doing OSINT, right? Open source intelligence gathering, using all the tools you would expect, typical, and, iterating through all of the public facing documents that they had. And what you find is that they've got IT support's phone number listed for internal IT, by the way. And then you go to LinkedIn and you start looking at all of their employees and you find IT support. So, oh, look at that. I've got pretext and I've got a phone number. And then, we're end of pandemic roughly. We're just like on the last year of the pandemic. And we have a lot of people moving remote. So this is the pretext we use. We say we're this person. We're calling from IT support. We spoof caller ID to be that phone number. And I basically went out and called these people and said, I am this IT support person. How are you doing today? We're trying to push updates to endpoints, and we're finding that our remote users, having gone out so fast after the pandemic, they're just not receiving the updates. It's really important. Do you mind if I take a few minutes of your time to push that update? And they would go, well, yeah, sure, no problem. And then I'd say, okay, great. Here's a link to Zoom. And I would feed them this third part, like, this is not an internal link to their company, right? But they do use Zoom. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. I'm like, okay, just let me have control of your desktop. And they say, yeah, fine. So I get, great. Thank you for that. Here, let me type some commands. And I would just type some like netstat and just other random commands to put out a lot of output from the command prompt. And I go, all right, I think it's taken the updates. Go ahead and if you would, let me just open your browser. I would type the web address to our malicious site that looks similar to the bank's normal login page. And then it would prompt them for a O365 password. It would feed that to when they entered into the site, this information, it would pop up on my screen on my malicious server, their plain text credentials that I would then feed into Office 365, to which they would then approve the two-factor auth that would prompt on their phone. And then I would be in their Office 365 as them. And it turns out they also had Citrix machines available in the same manner. So I got access to a Citrix box on one of these users. That Citrix box had access to software that gave them the ability to query the mainframe in the bank. And I'm like, wow, that's great. So that's already bad. And then you look at the software that's being run and you're like, oh, that's out of date. Oh, look, a known vulnerability. They store the credentials of the domain user that has privileges. You've got a privileged domain user account attached to that software, and it's storing the credentials in plain text on the desktop. And you're like, wow, I'm in, and now I've got a point where I can run, Bloodhound and find a path to the domain admin. So yeah, fun times.
Hell yeah.
It's amazing how many people fell for it. And one of the people that did fall for it, at one point, we're having the conversation back and forth, and she's like, this doesn't feel right. This just doesn't feel right. And I'm like, oh no, I get it. I really, just play cool. Everything's fine. We do this all the time. What you're doing is you're doing the right thing. I promise. And then she never told anybody. So
I'm going to screw this definition up. I'm brain farting on the exact details of the evil twin attack, but we use that to deauth people. They reauth, so the Oscar attack, and then we basically found a way to grab their SSL cert, and then we were the CA, and then we would serve them up an O365 login page, and we just walked around the office and got literally everyone's password.
Nice.
So how about you, CrowdStrong? What's your favorite story?
Nothing professionally.
Okay.
Nothing professional.
Hey, I'll take a little lab story.
Oh, you get from here.
Havoc, you got anything?
We lost you, Have.
You're muted.
Yeah.
How about now?
There you go.
You good?
So I got a lot of stories. I don't necessarily know what I'm allowed to say and what I'm not to a degree, so I'm going to go with a really old one. So back when I was in college, so you can tell by the gray hair, that's been a while, I decided I wanted access to things I shouldn't have access to, and I figured out we were using some software called Net Support, and that you could go and grab that console. So I went to their page to grab Net Support console and was able to remote to anybody's computer within the campus, and I used that for various things. But as far as the social engineering aspect, I tried to tell them, like, hey, this is a big issue. You guys got to fix this. I tried to do responsible disclosure and it wasn't falling on deaf ears. So one day when I was sitting in the computer lab, I opened up net support and I logged into the computer of the head of the IT department and just left him a note on his desktop typed out in Word from remote controlling it, letting him know you really need to put a password on net support. You know, I can control any computer from any other computer in the network. And that was fun.
Tell him to write it down on the sticky note.
Yeah.
It's under the keyboard now. It's fine.
And surprise, surprise, they actually put a password on it after that. It only took actually breaching the head of IT's computer to get any change done after multiple complaints. And I really did try to go about it the right way. Like I went up the chain and I was just told this is the way we do things. So, and surprisingly, I still graduated and didn't get anything bad on my record. So there you go.
My favorite one was I did a physical. I don't know. Does card cloning count as social engineering? I'd say so.
Under the same umbrella.
We were riding up and down an elevator for 4 hours in some government agency, and one guy would distract. Like that would usually be me. I'd just strike up a conversation. The other guy would come brush up against his card with an HID reader in his laptop bag, and we cloned so many cards that night. And we came back at 2:30. And we're sitting in the parking lot with our binoculars looking up. And there's people there. And there weren't supposed to be people there. So we call the contact. He's like, oh, that's the skeleton crew we forgot to tell you about. So we were like, whatever, we'll deal with it. So we just walk in. Cards work. Nobody bats an eye. So we walk around the office. We find the CEO's desk based on a picture on LinkedIn matches a picture on his desk. So I used his iPhone charger for a network implant device. So I'm on my phone looking at the C2 on my SSH like, oh, we're connected. Let's go. And on the way out, they had a snack table. So I started grabbing a bunch of snacks, stuffing it in my bag. That's when people took notice and started walking over to us. And I was like, all right, we got to go. Let's go.
The snacks will get you every time.
Stay away from the snacks.
It was
really the moral of the story is just pretend you belong. Just act like you belong.
Yep.
Even if it's through a phone call or if you're there in person, you just got to pretend like you belong, act like you belong, and
know you belong.
Yep.
So, Joe and Ben, is there anything you can talk about without disclosing any client information about some phishing attempts that you've dealt with since you guys are blue team? You can just say like company X or whatever.
What can I give you? Not much at this moment. Most of the most interesting stuff is stuff that I'm still dealing with, and I can't really tell you anything about it right now.
Okay.
Yeah, no, sorry, my friend.
Those
I think everybody wants to pause and talk about your hat. I need to know more about this hat.
This is my traditional hack, or I call it steampunk hacker. I usually have a coat with it, but a bunch of DEF CON pins and stuff.
I need to
get like you're going to be doing magic tricks.
Oh, yeah. I usually have a backpack on me with 6 antennas running wall of sheep and then an LCD screen on my chest. And then I've got a cane that's an actual working steam piston engine. So I got it hooked up to a bike pump in my boot so I can step on it, and it actually makes the motor turn. It's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. We got Kismet and Callie running on Deltri's wheelchair at DEF CON.
Oh, yeah, Kismet. That's the other one.
Fun times. So guests, you guys both have done some social engineering engagements. Of those engagements, what would you say is your favorite one that you've come across so far?
I've got the one Vishing story, and that's it. From like a fishing perspective, done tons of those, but it's not as much fun.
Yeah, fishing can be fun too. I mean, not as fun as fishing. And for some people, fishing can also be really difficult. Like, people's social anxiety, things like that. How do you think that can be overcome if you're, say, a new pen tester and you're doing your first fishing engagement and you're a bit scared? And
Oh, it's called the Razapam. That's a joke.
living through
Don't
chemistry.
It's an anti-anxiety drug.
Yes. That's
for
good.
people with extreme
So
anxiety.
don't take Adderall for that one. That's the opposite. Take
Yeah,
a
no,
relaxant.
not that. Yeah, don't drink too much coffee is the other point, and just act like you know what you're doing. You're good to go.
I always say drink a beer and chill out a little bit.
It has to be
Yeah.
smooth, right? The conversation has to flow smoothly. You can have bullet
That's
points
totally a joke. You don't drink on the job ever, but it's
unless you work at Amazon.
yeah.
The conversation has to flow smoothly, right? And that's the kicker. Is if you try to have some kind of really rigid structure to it, you're gonna have a bad time. Bullet points are good, but past that,
You get real good at it. You can start using the names of famous hackers just for shits and giggles as you call people up.
That was fun. You used Dave Kennedy. I used Chris Nickerson a couple times.
It was great. And you think they'd Google the people too, but no. It's just one ear out the other. It was fun.
I think I used John Hammond too.
oh, John Hammond, our Lord and Savior, John Hammond.
You got to admire his ability to put together those videos and the depth of detail he goes into. I think he is definitely an asset to the community.
Impressive.
I watched him start from the beginning, and he's just been leveling up every year. And I'm like, I'm impressed. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. I use a lot of his tutorials.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of fun.
So-
you guys ever masquerade as Kevin Mitnick?
No.
No. Yeah. Have you read his book, Ghost in the Wires?
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's great. He's got a lot of social engineering stories in there that are gold.
Yeah, when I met Kevin in 2017, it was at the Cyber Investing Summit, and I had social engineered my way into there specifically to talk to Kevin.
Huh.
And I got his agent's business card. And then at Black Hat that year, I did not have a Black Hat badge, but I did have a lanyard. So I put his agent's business card in my little lanyard and was walking around. When anybody would try to stop me, I'd just point over to Kevin and I'd wave. And Kevin was kind enough to wave back. So there you go.
Obligatory
Nice.
OG.
I met him because we would always do a private conference hosted by a friend of ours during DEF CON, where the people would either practice their talks or give talks that were not appropriate for DEF CON, like too intense or whatever. So they were
the top floor
rejected.
of a hotel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been there.
And Mitnick would always show up every year, just say hi to all of us and hand out his cards and stuff. It was cool.
Indeed. I went to one of those one year and
TSA
I
broke apart my card. Damn it.
those bastards. I went to one of those and I had just picked up a Diet Coke, like one of the big bottles of it. It wasn't Pepsi, it was Diet Coke. Otherwise, I would have been just like Jason Street carrying a giant Diet Pepsi around. And I get there and we're all sitting, some people still standing. Well, guy's about to give us a talk and I go to open the Diet Coke and it explodes all over me. And I'm just sitting there. I'm wet and I don't say a damn word. A couple of people kind of smirked, but nobody said anything. I just went about watching the talks with a wet shirt. It was fun.
Good times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Nickerson, I think, actually invited me to that one. I don't know if he was running it that year, but because I had volunteered at SummerCon. Really good guy.
But it was cool. The one we were running, it's like Chatham rules, so can't say anything about it. No details.
Well, looks like I won't get invited again. I let the cat out of the bag.
Yeah, my first
All right,
DEF CON, I
guys.
got to go to that one, which was pretty cool.
Oh, yeah, Joe went to one.
Yeah. First time there, get to go to an exclusive little conference up in the top of a hotel room. I was like, this is pretty awesome. Out of like
Getting
the
drunk with
30,000
Lockheed
people
was
here,
pretty fun.
we're here with 40 people.
I really enjoyed the whiskey tasting that Milton Sec put on.
Dude,
They
how
changed
much
their name.
did you spend on luggage getting all that out there?
That must have been a lot. And not to mention the cost of the alcohol itself. A lot of that was like the last one ever. And I was amazed when I took a drink out of one. It was just a little bit, and I'm like, this is really good. Where can I get some? He's like, you can't. That's the last. The factory burnt down, and that was the last from the barrel. I'm like, you're fucking with me. He's like, nope, that's it. That is the very last of it. I'm like,
Damn.
my God.
I always like finding Paul Asadorian to get a cigar from him.
Yeah, Security Weekly is another decent podcast. What do you guys listen to besides this one? Let's plug ourselves.
I've been on Jack Reciter Kick recently. This Darknet Diaries and all that.
That's a good one.
He's cool. I met him. I gave him one of those wooden coins that I used to make, and he gave me a bunch of stickers.
I would. I gotta hang out with you guys at DEF CON again. God, it's been so long since I've been.
I like the Cyberwire.
It's so good now at this new venue. I love it.
Well, now I have a lot more to bring to the table than when we met. So
There are some things about that venue that people aren't aware of, and as an HDA representative, I feel the need to bring to attention some of this shit. There is a crew of scammers that goes around taking gear, like AV gear that's left, pretending to be the actual AV company. And
I
it's
did
a
not
known
hear that
company.
one.
Yeah, Delta let me in on that the other day, and that's where we think our suitcase full of our gear went that never made it back to us. And apparently it's little known, but apparently the convention center has a bunch of scammers who are targeting it, and they're intentionally going in pretending to be AV people, taking gear, taking items without permission, and just social engineering. And the balls to do that at DEF CON. Impressive.
No, didn't Dual Core once say hack all the hackers?
It was a free pen test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Never let a good crisis go to waste. 30,000 people in one place is a good crisis.
Indeed. So, short of David Bombal as well, you guys have any other recommendations for our listeners in terms of podcasts or YouTube channels to listen to up your game?
I'm not a huge fan of him, but Network Chuck's pretty good.
Big
And I like the Internet
Yeah.
Storm Center,
I was actually
Business
looking at
Security
Network Chuck video
Weekly,
before we did this cast.
Black Hills Information Security has a bunch of good ones.
Yep.
Yeah. Trusted Sec.
Yeah, Trusted Tech.
I do.
And then Red Team Radio. That's our buddy's podcast, Drew Porter. He was on earlier or last week.
for work.
It's kind of like Jack Reciter mode.
There's some good ones out there for sure. And I think you'll definitely level up your game if you spend enough time listening even. Sometimes if you not only listen, but actually try to replicate what you're watching, you'll learn a lot more. But there's some really good content out there. And I'm amazed so much of it's free. I mean, like Cyber Mentor also has some good stuff that is free,
TCM.
but his paid content's also fairly decent. TCM.
The TCM
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
that you pay for is actually damn good. I would recommend it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, I actually
highly
do that.
recommend.
I do that at work. I like listening to Cyberwire because they're pretty quick about what they
Yes.
just hit the news. They give a good amount of detail, but they don't go overboard. And I do threat intelligence briefings at work. And so listening to the Cyberwire and Dave Bittner, I've kind of learned to kind of present like he does, and it really has been helping me with my briefings.
We
Just
need to
like-
bring Space Rogue back.
What?
Space Rogue?
You remember
I'm not
Space
familiar.
Rogue?
No.
The Hacker News Network?
Space Jam.
Oh, HNN.
I had
Yeah,
Security
that was a while
Now.
ago.
Security, man.
That was good. I used to listen to that every day.
Yeah. Was it Steve Gibson? I think they called. I bought his software.
GRC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spin right.
Mhm.
Yep.
I ran that thing on so many discs. I don't think any of them ever worked again, but it was cool software nonetheless.
I actually got it to work one time.
Yeah, it worked for
The
me.
freezer trick worked more often for me, at least.
And the backing it up to the cloud works for me too.
I was going to say, I haven't watched
trust the
Hack
cloud.
Live in a long time. Are they still producing content?
Oh yeah. I don't know.
I think Gibson still is. I don't know if it's under the same podcast name.
Yeah. I like what InfoSec is fun, even though it's more like
every Saturday. I watch him at 10 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah, he's good.
I used to do Hack the Box and watch InfoSec pretty much nightly, and it was such a great way to kind of learn the way of the land.
You can even put it on the background, not pay attention, and you'll learn something.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, with him, I was going to say him and Network Chuck have been great. Network Chuck went through some stuff that doesn't necessarily security related, but it's very useful for, let's say, you have an engagement, you're doing an external pen test of some kind, whether it's web app or whatever, and your local network just blows. It doesn't work. You can't take the volume of traffic you're pumping. One of the things that I like to do is build a machine for AWS and run an EC2 instance and do all my work from there. And one of the things that Network Chuck shows, at least partially, is how to set up your box, how to use Terraform along with AWS to mash a button, spin up a box, and you're ready to rock and roll on a single command. And when you're done, you just tear it down. You don't have to pay for anything in the meantime, in between times. So that's the way to go.
I was talking with some friends that do that. There's some friends that do that for password cracking. They spin up a bunch real quick for free and then take them down real quick before they have to pay.
Oh man, for my master's white paper that I had to write, what you learn is that AWS doesn't allow you to spin up infinity boxes. You have a 30 machine limit, and then you have to go, please give me more resources, please, and then their support gets to decide whether you get them or not. And then I begged them. I said, look, I need a percentage of a Class A network that's enough to justify a Class A network. And I'd written a Python script that would loop and build a bunch of boxes at random from their pre-built library. Like, they've got their Amazon images out there that you can build from. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I was trying to build at least 10%, right? It ends up being thousands of machines. And you ask for permission and they go, yeah, we'll give that to you. And then they max me out at 300. So I'm not bitter, but it did stop me from doing what I wanted.
Yeah, when I had a .edu address, they gave me a decent amount of resources to play with for AWS. You still have one. You might be able to take advantage of that as well. Some schools let you keep it after.
Was it greater than 300?
If you
greater than 300.
If you register a 501c3, go through all that rigmarole, they'll give you all the stuff.
What?
I was mad at Azure because I was doing a lab in person to learn the microtic router operating system stuff for IBM stuff. And we had to use our own credit cards for the labs. I was like, okay. And then by the end of it, I'm like, why do I have a $1,200 bill?
Yeah, that's a real thing.
You got to spin down stuff when you're not using it. God forbid you accidentally leak your keys. You're responsible for those charges.
Yeah. Oh. They gave me my money back. They were like, yeah, we get it. It happens all the time.
I wonder how often that excuse will work in the real world when you're not the first time,
Yeah,
I've run up pretty big AWS bills, and they are not so easily willing to forgive them, especially when it's all your fault. Like forgetting you have something up in the cloud for a month or two, and then checking your statement and being like, "Holy crap, I done goofed."
That wasn't me, I swear.
Yeah.
I must have been hacked.
Speaking to that, when you go to AWS and you go to spin up a new EC2 instance, when you go to select your ISO or whatever the AMI that you select, some of those, and you may not know this, even if they're in the free library that's out there, like you get to select from all these boxes are supposed to be free, and some of them come with support. And if you click through it, not reading it like I did, you end up getting, all right, now I've got Kali Linux, great, and I'm done. Well, months down the road, you're like, wait a minute, why am I paying an extra $20, $30, $40 a month? And then you look and you're like, oh, I'm paying support on a freaking open source image. Are you serious?
Like, what are they going to do?
I need to do this. I need to do this and make some money. This is ridiculous. tech support. I don't need tech support. I am
I
support.
wonder what kind of support they'd offer for a Kali image. You're like, yeah, I
It's
popped
me.
the
I'm the
box.
admin.
I'm using a reverse interpreter shell, and it just keeps crashing, and I don't know
I
why.
can't catch it. Something's
I
wrong.
can't catch it. Well, are
Yeah.
you sure you're using a payload that matches with the actual? Just see how that goes. I doubt they'd offer that level of support, but it'd be funny if they did.
I'd be impressed.
They just have professional red hats on hand. Oh,
Exactly,
we
I
got,
was
all you
gonna
have
say
to
that.
do is
Let's break out the Metasploit book
Red
and
Bull,
let's look at the
yeah.
reference here. And
Right. You know
Yeah,
where
you
that's
got
never
yours.
happened to me? That's never happened to me on Linode. Not once.
Linode's fairly solid. I like DigitalOcean too, but I think with Linode
yeah.
specifically, if you're going to do pen test stuff on there, you got to let them know ahead of time, and you let them know after. They're not as good about it.
a lot of places block those. Just cider block all the way.
I
You
have
know,
not had
have
any
you-
issues.
DigitalOcean, like, thank you, DigitalOcean, but also just hire me so you could just pay me in credits because you already take all my money.
There you go.
DigitalOcean is like $200 anytime you start up a new account with a new email. So just get a domain and generate a bunch of emails and get a bunch of credits, and
They've
hope
gotten
their
wise
sales
to
guy
that.
doesn't catch on too quickly.
They got wise to
Good
that
idea.
last time I did it, but I did have a really nice hash cracking instance I was running for a bit.
So we used to use DigitalOcean as a C2, basically. Never had any issues with it. We only had issues when you start using it for phishing, because if you spin up a domain real quick on them, it gets flagged real quick. So you need to have a domain that sits there for a long time, or else you get that. I don't remember the error. Maybe Joe, you can fill me in on this. But when you the domain comes up too quickly, it gets suspicious.
Yeah, so that's one of the benefits, and maybe you probably figured this out already, but one of the reasons I love AWS for this type of work is that when you can buy your domain from them, and in the same platform, you can pay for their simple mail service, and then they'll automatically apply DKIP and all of the other security protocols for your email
Automatically?
situation.
Nice.
Automatically.
No need
Yes.
to set up DKIM and SPF and all that.
That's
fun stuff.
awesome.
It does it all for you. And with the simple mail service, you just have your own server already, an EC2 instance, calling to that SMS service that you're paying for with them. And for the domain that you're paying for with them, it's all in-house and nobody questions anything. I've never had a problem.
Good
You
to
ever use
know.
echo spoofing on an engagement?
Mm-mm.
It's hard.
So I
You
have
got to
to
find
ask.
something that's got 25 open to the internet, and most things are going to have it. You can't send outbound 25, port 25 traffic. But if you can, it's pretty neat. And a lot of domains are misconfigured, especially ones that are using like third-party email protection services on top of using Microsoft's, where you can send an email to anybody in the domain as anybody in the domain if you are willing to just spoof the envelope and hit the mail server specific to the protection server for Microsoft. So you just
I've seen that
tell
in the
that
wild
on
a couple
25.
times.
Yeah.
You can like telnet to it, just write emails. I was like, seriously?
Yep.
guys?
It's amazing how many times I've seen that.
It's a
So
very
let me
common
ask you, Josh,
misconfiguration.
Have you used Evil Jinx?
Yeah. Yeah, the fishlets on that gave me quite a headache.
I know.
You get the
it's
browser
kinda
and the browser
confusing.
ones working right. Those are fun.
Were you successful?
I mean, it worked. It didn't work as good as I'd hoped, but it did work.
So you got like some 2FA?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've only
at the
done it in
time.
the lab. I haven't actually deployed it like officially yet for an engagement.
Yeah, I'm gonna have AltKey set
Well-
up a Evil Jinx server for us, Sledge.
Yep.
Yeah, it just depends because. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no worries. I was just about to say with fishlets. Yeah, so the ones that it comes with never really seem to be updated quite as well as you'd hope. And the ones you get off GitHub are usually for international services, I've noticed. Like it'll say, okay, yeah, this is for US version of blank. No, it's not. Like they're kind of obvious sometimes. You really do want custom.
They're mainly just there for templates. You do have to customize it per engagement.
The
Yeah, I've
browser
had
and the
them
browser
blocked.
repo had some really nice fishlets that work well with it, though. You got to put that together. They're pretty seamless and difficult to tell that it's not real. Let's go over some InfoSec news while we are here. So I'm going to share my screen. We're going to do some shitty threat intelligence reporting. And let's all talk about these articles. And if we have things to contribute, feel free to just jump in and interrupt me at will.
Yeah, did you hear about CrowdStrike?
Hey. It wasn't me.
If I ever write malware, I hope it comes to that level.
We're making T-shirts.
What do they say?
Oh, I forgot, but they already made them and handed them out at DEF CON. I just didn't get one.
Oh, okay.
All right. Let's go first. We're going to talk about Inside Sophos' 5-year war with Chinese hackers targeting their firewalls. And so the gist of this one is that Sophos, who is obviously a cybersecurity company, uncovered a 5-year espionage campaign where hackers were targeting its firewalls. In turn, Sophos decided to use their own devices to then monitor those hackers by rooting and shelling the devices the attackers were using that they're able to identify were theirs, and trying to keep one step ahead of them. So a little bit of a cat and mouse game. And I think that might violate some hackback rules if memory serves, because you're not really supposed to hack back, but it seems like they did. What do you guys think? Whoa, that's a lot of...
I didn't even know there were rules. The way I see it, and the way the world is operating right now, if you were to hack back, who's gonna know?
Rules.
It comes back down to that law they made in the 80s, the CFAA or whatever, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act.
Oh yeah,
you can't hack back.
Prove it.
Yeah. Well, we talked about it on a podcast. Now you're guilty. No, that's not how it works, though.
Oh right, yeah.
If there ain't no longs, it didn't happen.
Yep. PCAPR, it didn't happen.
That's right. Packets don't lie.
I was playing with a phishing campaign targeting some crypto bros lately, and I realized I could. They were doing a Telegram hook, and it was in the actual capture of running it through like any run. So I was able to add my own hook to Telegram. So whenever they popped a new victim, I would get a notification as well, which was kind of fun. They just put the API key in there.
Nice.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, just add a webhook and pick your own webhook.site address and add that webhook to it with the API key that they're happily giving to you in the actual phishing email.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, in your list, you have what happened to Change Healthcare.
Do I? Did I
Yes.
even put that in there? Excellent. So let's talk about it. Change Healthcare.
I hope. Yeah, so Change Healthcare sent me a piece of mail that basically says, "Sorry, we lost all your data," and it's like one of the biggest breaches of all time relative to the healthcare industry. And I want to know, and I would like a copy of that data leak if you got it.
Hold on. Somebody else got hit too. One of the bigger ones. It was
That was in February. Change
I
Healthcare.
can't remember. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me.
And they just sent me a message September 30th that this happened.
Yeah, it looks like their IT systems were using compromised credentials. And they got
Classic.
remote access. Hey, it's through a Citrix portal too. Look at that, Josh.
Yeah, speak of the devil. What are you going to do?
100 million people are affected by that. That's pretty bad.
Good God.
Oh, and the portal didn't have multi-factor authentication set up either.
God.
Yeah, who uses that? Who uses
But for
Two-factor. How does it work?
what are multi-factor?
what even is HIPAA? Is it a hippopotamus?
Yeah, if you ever look through the HIPAA documents, they're so vague. You can get away with pretty much anything.
I worked in a hospital for a number of years.
Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah. Every hospital I ever go into, I don't know if you guys have the same experience, and you can tell me to shut up if you want, but I go to the doctor, I take my kid to the doctor, whatever. They never lock their screens. Not ever, never, ever. They remain logged in. They have the screen open. They walk out. They can't have cameras in the room. I'm just chilling there, and I'm like, if I had my USB, you'd be doomed.
Yep.
If
I'm staring at the
whatever
open screen and the open USB ports like, oh boy.
Dude, I finally got that little LilyGo device. I'm going to put the USB Armory on. This thing's neat.
Y'all are tempting me with my flipper. If I had health
I just got one.
I've got this cool
I'm really excited
that
about it.
works as a rubber ducky, but over Wi-Fi. So you can just plug it in, connect to it, just run commands.
I got my garage door opener on it. I got my access card to my apartment and everything.
Yeah, I used that same tool to get into my pool, so I didn't have to buy a second tag.
Exactly.
I just copied the tag that I already had.
I know a guy that uses it to clone cards for people in the neighborhood.
Interesting.
Help that
for the pool? It's like, why does this one person come to the pool 20 times a day?
I
like the little clear NFC ones because it's just cool looking, you know? The little NFC 215 transparents. I like them. What else do we got to talk about here? So Chinese hackers stole the campaign audio from the Harris and Trump campaigns through a wiretap system hack. They accessed the unencrypted calls and texts from both U.S. presidential campaigns. They reportedly still have access, raising some major security concerns.
Fantastic.
This one is an epic fail as well. If you had an Okta username that was over 52 characters long, so I assume this would affect India more than most places, and perhaps some Norwegian countries. Norwegian countries?
52 characters?
That's not accurate. But just a minute, 52 plus characters in your username, and it doesn't even check the password. It just authenticates and doesn't even MFA it.
Does it matter what the username is? So you can
matter as long as it's exceeding the content length for the username.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This was active for a while, and apparently it would just accept any password, regardless of what the password is. And
but it has to be something that exists, right? It can't authenticate to something that doesn't exist. So we can't take.
Yes.
Say I had an Okta account and.
That's what I was wondering.
Steve goes in and makes a
52 random
character, you know.
Yeah. So this one, somebody had done a different write-up on this. This is not it. They had speculated the reason for this was that they're, I think, SHA-256ing the hashes, and there was some issue with the parsing of that caused it to just automatically say sure whenever it comes across it. It was on a Twitter thread, and I don't think I had the time to copy that down. But it looked interesting in terms of stupidity and the fact that nobody caught it for so long. Although I imagine there aren't too many.
But here you go.
Too many 52 plus character usernames out there.
Yeah, I was gonna say how many of those do you have? That's the real question.
Do you ever see some of the names of some towns in like Sweden or like even Germany, or they merge them all together? And who knows? There could be somebody. Synology systems again. Whoever has a Synology NAS and is still port forwarding that shit to the internet needs to just stop. But or even just using their built-in sharing where it's going to connect through their portal and then let people in. Don't do it. Just disable that crap. Keep it off your internet connection altogether. This is a zero-click phone.
Uses that and he thinks it's cool.
This one in the photo engine that would allow essentially anybody who's sharing photos through their ability to right-click on a file that's a photo that's on your NAS and say share with somebody. Anybody who's got one of those links that you've generated and if you haven't patched your Synology NAS since they had that happen, can essentially leverage that to access all the files on your NAS, which is probably one of the more retarded ones I've seen lately.
That's actually kind of interesting.
The auth key apparently is scoped for the entire thing as opposed to just the photos. So it's kind of like path reversal. Next we have SVR hackers called Midnight Blizzard or App29 are using malicious RDP files. Who the hell is allowing RDPs .rdp files as like an extension you can click on in an email? I get blocking .exe files, right? But who's still allowing .rdp files to be
Cozy
emailed
Bear.
and open?
That's what I know them as. Cozy Bear.
Yeah, Russian nation state actor.
I was like, I know that one.
Can we make them sound less cuddly, please?
I mean, no.
Barely.
Talk to CrowdStrike, not me. The other one.
Like someone at
CrowdStrike. The other guys that
wants
don't
to
have
give
the
these
one
guys a
that's
hug.
scribbled in crayon.
Oh, come on, you're the real CrowdStrike. We all know that.
Okay.
In news that's surprising absolutely nobody, the Canadian government warned that India is employing cyber tools to surveil separatists and critics overseas. Nobody wants to also mention that Canada and the U.S. does the same thing with tools we buy from Israeli companies. But let's call the whistle on these Indian ones, of course.
It's projection. It's all. That's all. It's just
In moment of incredible stupidity, we have a official from Colorado who shared a spreadsheet online containing a tab that had all the passwords to the voting machines a few days before the election, causing a widespread panic and the need to manually go to multiple voting machines to change hard-coded credentials so that people who are going to vote can't just log into the thing with the hard-coded password that's in the spreadsheet. This is pretty freaking dumb, in my opinion. Also, why do they even need access to all these password files? Like, why does an elected official need the password for the voting machine is the question. Like, shouldn't that
That's
be
one
delegated to
question.
just who needs it, not just like, let's share this in a spreadsheet with everybody and accidentally post it online? It kind of really raises some questions about election security. And when I worked for the local government in a small town in New York, I was faced with our Board of Elections and the stupidity that went on there, including the inability to upgrade to Windows 8 from XP because both the Democrats and Republicans couldn't agree that it's something that needed to be done. Only one side would agree. And, oh, man, it was bad. Tallying up votes in Excel, people inserting malicious macros. It was a shit show. And if that's local government back then, I really worry about it now. I don't
Not
think
to
it's
get
gotten
all
much better.
conspiratorial or anything, but I wonder if that was on purpose to cause fear, uncertainty, and doubt.
Due to my strong
All the
personal convictions, I wish to stress that this in no way is a political discussion.
It is not. And I also would like to also say we try to keep politics out of stuff unless the story directly is political, where it's like there's absolutely no way to
All right,
avoid
let's
it.
move on.
Yeah. Hacking for hire scandal rocks Italy and implicates the Vatican. Italian prosecutors are accusing IT consultants of breaching a national security database and using it for blackmail. This scandal involves some high-level figures, including the Vatican and Israeli entities, in a complex, still unfolding case. The CEO of Wiz, you guys know Wiz, their sales guys will never leave you alone if you ever express any interest in their product, reported that their employees received voice messages of his deepfaked voice to obtain credentials. The attack highlights Frank's girlfriend playing Call of Duty while he's trying to play and didn't kill Steam first. No, so deepfaked voice credentials, showing essentially that these deepfakes are being used more and more for phishing campaigns and vishing campaigns. Main Sledge, we got to up our game and get some deepfake technology in our vishing stack.
Could be fun.
It could be fun. Next, we have the CIA hacks Venezuela. Military payroll in failed overthrow attempt, according to Wired.com. So this was back in 2019 when the CIA reportedly hacked Venezuela's payroll system as part of an attempt to destabilize the Maduro administration. And while the hack succeeded, it did not lead to an ousting. Senators warn of U.S. cyber convention consequences. No cyber conventions allowed. Led by Ron Wyden, cautioned the UN Cyber Convention, different type of convention, could allow countries to justify censorship and human rights abuses while doing little to protect journalists and security researchers. It's that last one I care about, the security researchers.
Yep.
You got to use Tor, bro.
Use Signal, use Tor.
Hang on, let's pause for a second. You mentioned using deepfakes, and I was going to say me and Joe tried a voice transmogrifier when we were doing our phishing, and it was so bad.
It was so bad. Oh my god.
Person
I
on
heard
the
a few
other
of those
end
calls.
sounded like Alvin and the Chipmunks. Like, it was ridiculous.
And the dude one made me sound like this. Like, okay, Batman.
So why haven't I been involved in this? Y'all could have hollered.
I thought I did.
No, you haven't reached out to me about
this
this.
one.
Oh, well, whatever.
First time
next
I'm
time.
hearing about this, but I assure you, I would have jumped in.
Last year, I tried sounding like an old lady, and the lag was so intense that the guy at the end of the phone just started laughing and hung up.
So latency is definitely an issue with these tools. You got to get ones ideally running locally, which means you're going to need to have decent hardware to do it. If you introduce that lag into it, you can definitely have some issues. Now, some of the commercial ones seem to have steps of mitigating that without too bad of an echo effect in your own ear.
Yeah, the 4-second echo was what screwed me.
I think it was your pretext there, Sledge.
It's like you say one thing, and then you hear yourself again as the guy's trying to respond, and I'm sitting here like, what the heck is going on?
Oh, man.
Yeah, we definitely got a few to trial out before the next engagement for sure.
Yeah.
Because I really want to find a good one that has a good woman's voice, because like a sweet sounding Southern woman could really knock down a lot.
Oh, don't call me out like that, dude.
What's wrong with you for?
Hey, I listened to your call and it sounded great. I was like, if I could sound like her,
awesome.
like,
Valhalla at your boy.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I only actually threw up after that call.
Yeah,
Like-
Valhalla at your boy. I'll help you guys out.
I just don't have the nerves. I'm sorry.
I mean, she did great. She's even talking. She's like even asking about Halloween and talking about the kids and how they're dressed up.
I'm helping with a buddy. She's
the
taking her kids to
master
Halloween. That's so cute and adorable. It was awesome.
We call
Yeah,
it the
she did
rock
good.
hard misdirection, right? You make them watch this hand when you hit them in the back.
And Altke, you've told me about you doing that in real life.
Oh, it's way easier in real life
you know.
than over the phone for some reason. Like in real life, I can kind of read if the person's into it or not. Like if I open my mouth and the person's just scowling at me, it's whatever. It's obviously not going to work on this guy. Move on. But like over the phone, they can pretend so well. Like I can't read body language because there's no body language to read.
Sure, but what do you have to lose? You have more of that mask, if you will, right? And if you have an issue, you lost connection.
There's
Or you
no
just gotta talk to your
consequences. If you
manager
get hung
about
up, just hang up.
If you get hung up, try again. They
Like-
can't track your phone number because you're spoofing your phone number. It doesn't matter.
I mean, I've broken my way into a few DEF CON parties. I've social engineered my way into buildings a few days early. Don't get me wrong, but it's so much easier in real life. And that might be because I'm 5'2", small, country, adorable.
Can't confirm.
Little chubby, innocent looking. I mean, I do have everything possible going for me aesthetics wise, and I really don't have that over the phone.
People trust my beard. Don't know why. Just how it works.
I don't know. You do kind of look like that friendly dad guy. The friendly dad figure. I can get that.
You look like you'd be able to rattle off the Linux commands I need the command line switches for really easily.
I'm the
mean-
guy you want in your sock.
Oh,
My
speaking
visit-
of, we haven't mentioned Linux in like a whole 24 hours, and now I'm
Well,
going
now
to
you
explode
did.
if I don't.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. This is a
So my
reminder.
biggest
Sorry.
successes is usually because I can make someone laugh and it lowers their guard, and then you can just
Breaks
do
that
anything
ice.
you want.
Yep. Breaks the ice.
Yep.
But also, if you're just kind, which is insanely abnormal, you can get all kinds of things that you'd
yeah,
like.
that's my superpowers. I'm just really
Yeah.
nice.
Just don't be an
No,
asshole.
this
It's really
sounds
easy.
so easy, but
And
like,
when you need to be an asshole, and that can work too. It's kind of
Sure,
knowing your
but-
audience.
Usually, if you call people sweetheart and thank you, yes sir, no sir, thank you, ma'am, please, that works a lot
well,
more
it
than
didn't
you
work for
think.
me
Just
on the
apologize.
second call. Like, I got shot down so freaking quick with the exact same script.
But you
You ever
stuck
running
with
low on
it.
grocery money and do the call up a bunch of companies who normally deal with complaints, instead just compliment their product and they send you like
Yeah.
manufacturer's coupons,
Yep.
and then
Uh-huh.
you can photocopy those and just keep using them and get free shit for a long time until somebody eventually catches on.
Disclaimer in Minecraft.
in Minecraft?
Disclaimer: this is in Minecraft and was not actually attempted by any member. of this
Not on
party.
my Christian Minecraft server.
Yeah, not
So,
on my
all right,
Christian-
guys. Delche's on. Should we ask him about his favorite social engineering engagement?
Yes, please.
You got any good ones, Delche? Or not?
He died. Rest in peace, Deltry.
He's there. He's probably just getting his audio working.
Yeah.
That's okay. You're
He typed in the box, no mic.
okay.
Oh,
Mike.
Well, tell Mike to come back already. We need
You
no
can't
chai
come
in the
to a
chat.
party like you can't come to a party like this without a mic. What are you doing?
bringing no mic to a mic fight.
Yep.
Tell Mike to get back here already.
Mike, want to bring a mic?
Mike's being a dick. Anyways.
But yeah, sometimes I think it's just more about consistency too. Like you might get shut down by one or two people, but if you just keep going, especially with like the type of
What the balls?
center we were calling, like you're gonna get somebody different most of the time. Towards the end, with 50 calls, we started getting the same people, and they're like, "Oh, Joseph." So I started knowing some of the people by first name, which is kind of funny.
Yep.
But the more you go, the more people you're gonna get, and eventually somebody's gonna drop their game, and you're gonna be able to get more information.
So that's a good point, because the last few calls we made today, I was pushing it by like only giving a first name and a number and asking for the rest of the information. I got burned on that, but it worked for you. And they just gave you everything. And you're frozen.
I'm frozen.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's just sometimes how you ask.
I was nice and everything, but this chick wasn't having it. I think she recognized my voice.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a pretty distinct voice. You're gonna have to pull out Screaming Bee.
Or...
Well, the last one I called for, I was trying to get more information. They're like, "Oh, I think I talked to somebody earlier about this," and they're like, "Joseph," and I was like, "Oh yeah, we talked."
See, the thing is if you can change your voice, you'll be fine.
Well, we tried.
I actually got them to give information that we did not have access to, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
But honestly, we tried changing our names and using different names each time. But that wasn't working so good. Once we used
it got hard to keep track of.
But once we used a consistent name, then I think they started realizing that, hey, we might be doing this legitly and doing work trying to like
you don't just
missing
burn
details that
them.
we didn't have. So towards the end, I just started using the same name for everything. That way,
yeah, me too. Because it's like you can't have
recognize
100 people working at the same damn place calling all day.
Bradley upper crust the third.
Well, you got to have fun with it somehow.
There we are. There's Deltry. Give it
There
to
you
him.
go.
You got some mastery here.
Well, I've had my share of fun over the years. You were asking about my most favorite, my most fun one.
Yeah.
Okay. This one was a little intense. It took a little bit of money, but the company that hired me to do it, well, they had deep pockets. So what I did was I targeted the most perfect day to go after this company, Valentine's Day. And you would say, well, wait a minute, IT people on Valentine's Day are sitting at home playing Minecraft because they don't date, right? But this was one of those big evil corporations. And not only was there nobody in the office, but there was a marathon that day, a Valentine's Day marathon. So what I did was I found the name of one of the IT workers, someone like middle ranked, and I found out that they were going to be participating in this marathon. So I asked for an ID card maker, which they provided for me. And we sent an agent into the place armed with IDs. Now, understand, the penetration test was happening in California, but the company was across the U.S. So the person we decided to impersonate was from the New York office. Now, what we did was I made a series of ID cards with the photograph of our agent on it. I made a fake Costco card. I made a fake library card. I made a video rental, card, which tells you how old this was. And I gave them to our guy, and he went to the front desk, and he basically said, look, I just flew in from New York. The airline lost my luggage. here's my IDs. Can you just give me a temporary ID to because I got to do some work because we've got a server down. My hair is on fire and all that. And the security guard was green and absolutely let it happen. They gave him a temporary card, got him access, and the first thing he did was not go up into the IT area, but went up near the IT area into the parking garage and opened the door to the parking garage where 3 of our other people were waiting.
Nice.
And they came in, they installed a fiber splitter. It said, yeah, we're here with IT. We got a little problem to fix. You're going to go down for like a minute or two. They slapped in a splitter, and we had full access, monitoring and everything. And the guys, the extra people went out to the parking garage. The other guy turned in his temporary badge and said, thank you very much. Have a nice day. There was no chance of the guy ever showing up because he was running a marathon. And they didn't know him locally because this is from the New York office. And who hasn't had an experience with flying where they haven't lost your luggage, or you get hauled up by the Freedom Fondle, or maybe they took away all of your bottled water and your Leatherman and all that.
Hey, it's not gay if it's TSA.
It ain't gay if it's TSA.
And so there you go. That was one of my favorites. I just coordinated it. I was the guy sitting, back in the truck, going, okay, everybody, Reuben James, go ahead and execute plan Bravo Rabbit, and there you go.
Do you still have a card printer?
I do not. Havoc has it.
I have it. I have one.
I have it.
I don't have his. I have one.
Oh, it's not the same as the one I had before. The one I had before cost like $8,000.
I'm lying. I actually think I have 2, if I'm being honest with you.
But they're easy to come by these days. The only thing is you got to, eBay, you can get one for a couple $100, but they say, oh, it's for parts only.
Yeah,
and it's usually the part you need is the ink, the ink cartridge, or somebody like put bubble gum in it, or tried to laminate their testicles or something, and broke the thing.
Directions
it's pretty easy to
stuck
fix.
in Card Cloner.
If somebody has some software that they know of that works really well with those, just kind of across the board, holler at your boy, because I have 2 of them that I would love to be able to use, but the old software
I'll share
that I had.
some stuff with you after the cast crowd's drunk.
Oh,
Yeah,
are we still talking about the laminator?
Well, you know who to talk to about that kind of thing, right?
Who?
You're your best pal in the world when it comes to software.
You?
Jose Juarez.
Oh yeah, damn! I don't know why I didn't call Jose.
Right, Jose Juarez is the #1 courier of all things.
Is he rolling up for Christmas?
Oh yes, he is.
Based.
We're going to be playing that album all through Christmas.
I'm trying to decide what I want for my ringtone, but it's coming. It's coming.
The thing is, with social engineering, it's not just going up and saying, "Hey, it's Eddie Vedder from accounting," right? You have to plan ahead a little bit, knowing that
you got to have a goal in mind.
The person you're imitating is running a marathon. The odds are they're not going to accidentally walk in, saying that it's someone from the other side of the country. Now, in a perfect world, they would type his name in, see his ID badge, see his picture, and none of the fake stuff would have worked. But the world is not perfect. You have to know ahead of time what you're dealing with. I was lucky enough to be able to match the exact card printer that the company used. And during the debrief, I had a really fun time during the debrief because I took an actual card from an actual employee and our fake one side by side, and I handed it around, and nobody in the group could tell the difference.
That is pretty badass.
Speaking of cards, let me reiterate on something I forgot about that engagement I was talking about. So I was saying I used the CEO's phone charger for the network implant, and we called it a night, right? So on our way out, we left a business card on his keyboard.
Ooh.
And during the debrief, he comes in just laughing his ass off. And he was telling us that he used to work in the military, blowing stuff up, and he would always leave a business card on the rubble. And he was like, that was a nice touch, boys.
Now, we were talking about, I know, Sledge, you and I were talking about Vishing earlier. Vishing has become a lot easier.
It's stupid easy.
And I proved this because I am the biggest idiot in the known world. I mean, there's 3 or 4, top tier idiots, but I'm one of the best. And I was able to grab a copy of Asterisk and set up something so profound that people are still amazed that it's so realistic. With AI voice generation and simple recording tricks, you can make an IVR and a PBX that sounds, thank you for calling Microsoft Tech Support.
Yeah.
Please press 1 to enter your credit card number.
It needs to be Microsoft Tech Support.
If we had more time, I would use something like that, but we only had like 2.5 days.
The problem is,
both Altke and I were thinking along the same path of setting one up, and we realized we don't really have the time to do it right, so we just went with the service.
Y'all holler at me, dudes. God, I feel like I'm missing out on the fun.
They really should have hollered at you first. I don't know why they asked me. Y'all know I'm a skid.
We wanted a female voice because last year I got burned halfway through, and I hired a lady friend, and she got them to email her X-rays to her personal email address. So I wanted to see what another female voice could do.
Last year, they also didn't have half that much security.
The only thing I noticed is the only security they had was a pin on one part of the organization that wasn't there last year.
And that stupid auto voice thing that we couldn't get through for like 2 whole days.
I figured it out the second day.
Well, what you mean? Like my voice is my passport verified?
No, you just have to figure out how to navigate the options.
It's the options menu, but it's not a dial options menu.
Zeros.
No, that doesn't work. That's the thing. You gotta
I know. It used to work.
There's a couple of things about that. A lot of people still have dial by directory. So you type in the last 3 letters of someone's name and it gives you all their info. Or, it's like enter a name or say a name. That's one thing you can map out. And if as long as they don't have the timeouts or the rejection set, you can map out an entire company in one phone call. And
we didn't have that option, but me and Joe were just going with the idea of fuck around and find out. Just make a mistake and see where they forward you to. And then we started realizing what all the other departments were and what we could get from them and which ones had a pin on it and which ones didn't.
One thing that some companies have chosen to use, and I've taken advantage of this many a time, a lot of times you hit 0 and it says there is no operator. There is no operator, only Zool. And one thing that I found that you can do is swear at it. Because when you start
I couldn't do that. We were recording.
Well, no,
going straight to the client.
This is a legitimate tactic. Because some systems, if they detect that you're angry or pissed off, will immediately route you to a person instantly. Either the actual operator that you can't get through 0, or to some lackey, some low-level lackey who can be social engineered as easy as prom night. You can just simply go, Freddie, Uncle Charlie, Katie, and the system goes, I'm sorry, you're frustrated. Please hold, and I'll get someone to help you. And bang, next thing you know, you're at help desk. So these are little things that people think are advantageous to their company, but actually just create a hole.
Honestly, too, Sledge, I think we could have called in and pretend to be one of the patients and asked them for the PIN. Be like, I'm trying to access my file. I need the PIN. I want to make a payment.
I did try that, but it was a 2 to 3 day wait.
Even if you're
pretending to send an email and all sorts of crap to get it. So I was like, all right, well, I'll talk to my manager and get back to you.
You tried, hey, I'm in the ER and I need this stuff now. I just got run over by a giant fruitcake. And
that would work if it was a different type of company. I can't go into too much detail about.
Just tell them to call JG Wentworth. 877 cash now.
Yeah.
Oh, please.
He was not working with JG Wentworth.
There are some places that will still allow you to put 800-555-1212. Or if you want a really fun one, and they hate this, but try 1-800 I am dead.
A really, really fun one is calling them with their own number, and then sometimes getting right into the voicemail because they decided not to set a pin.
Ooh.
Have you ever tried 1-800 I am dead?
Mm-mm.
Never heard of it.
AT&T Special Circuits Division.
Mm-mm.
It's
Nice.
who you call when your T1 goes down.
Mhm.
Oh,
1000.
interesting.
Old
And
school
it's a
freak tricks.
It's a direct line too. There's no bullshit. It goes right to a technician.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna have
Anybody
to change
got-
Teltri's level of service later. He's gonna pick up the phone and make a call, and he's gonna get a payphone.
Well, if you call my number now, you'll get an interesting surprise too. But none of you had the fortitude to try it, except for Alt Key.
I called the one you gave out too. I commented on that when you put that in there.
Ironically, I was the one who tried it after being the one who got burned from Vishing.
You didn't get burned.
You did pretty good, especially for your first time, Alt Key. And the anxiety is definitely justified. So don't stress it. You'll kick ass.
I actually
more in the future.
understated how bad the anxiety was. It was throw up bad. Like
Wait.
I saw the inside of the porcelain throne for almost an hour after that one call went through.
The horrors persist, and so must we.
I don't
Yeah,
know if I
for-
must.
for
There's
my-
something else to do.
For the people that are out there that suffer with anxiety like I do, one of the things that I find, and I'm not saying you have to do this, but mindfulness meditation has taken me a long ways, and I don't need any pharmaceuticals to help me along. If you just try the mindfulness meditation with somebody like Sam Harris and his app, which is waking up or something similar.
I'm just a super big fan of.
Did you say Sam Harris?
Yeah,
was
he
just
has an
about to
app
say
called
that.
Waking Up.
I'm always a big fan of calling random phone numbers and screaming 4-letter words at them.
That
helps
sounds
me
like a
get-
solid therapy. Yeah, I like it.
It is. It
Big
is.
fan of-
And
What are we
one
gonna
of the
do?
other things you can do, especially, I have a problem with not so much anxiety, but frustration.
Mhm.
And I get frustrated a lot because I'm a disabled person and I have to deal with a lot of idiots who don't know how to handle that. And, after the 15th time, and they say, well, why don't you come into our office? Or
Yeah, it
I
doesn't
actually
work
had
like
someone
that.
tell me that I was faking my disability in order to get home health care.
Dude.
And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll tell you what. I understand it's rough for you. I mean, it must have been rough on your parents not having any children that lived. The more you concentrate on being creative, the more your brain engages and it doesn't have any room for panic. And it actually feels good to tell someone, I could have been your father, but the dog beat me over the fence.
Jesus.
Nice.
I know your dad.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah, that one's going in the playbook.
He's
for
got
sure.
a lot of good ones.
I knew your dad. I knew your dad. He borrowed a rubber from me at a gangbang. Who knew it would break?
I had no idea that Sam Harris,
Looks like
one
a
of the
left
horsemen of the atheist movement, had a meditation app. That's pretty badass.
Yeah.
I just listened to a whole bunch of Alan
He's an
Watts
interesting dude.
for meditation. Dude is.
Alan
Watts is
Watts,
good.
yeah, The Power of Now.
Yep, we love Alan Watts.
I like him too, man.
Get the message, guy.
Of course,
Hey, I have siblings that are either on my level of anxiety or what sounds like what you're dealing with. So I get it.
Never underestimate the power of Pink Floyd and announcer shrooms.
So
Shrooms are
blurry
not
over there.
legal in this state, and I'm not sure if they would have helped me.
I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to suggest how to help you. I'm just saying, don't underestimate the power of a good Pink Floyd album and announcer shrooms.
Or yeah. Anyways,
The way I do it is kind of like when you're kind of procrastinator or whatever, it's hard to get started. But once you make that first phone call and you just start going with the flow, it makes it easier to just keep going.
agreed.
Also, it helps if you were in high school theater.
I was in a band, if that counts.
Basic theater will teach you how to be a good impersonator and actor and social engineer on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
because you'll understand voice inflection and from the diaphragm, and you won't feel weird when you have to say things like, "Pardon me, but my bra needs to be adjusted," and you can just.
I had an issue with having to change my voice or anything. I just be myself. I use my real name. Doesn't matter. Who cares?
Oh, I have a secondary German persona that I like to use.
Nice.
People tend to take German surnames seriously, so I use the surname of Miehoff. And it's
Is your first name Jack?
Yeah,
Yeah. My first name is Jack, but Mr. J. Miehoff. Miehoff is a fine
Ben
German
Dover
name.
on
Do not make fun of it.
One of the calls I used Ben Dover.
Good old Ben Dover.
And the funny thing is,
Mr. Eddie Vedder.
they will see through it, right? And then you can use that to your advantage. Yeah, my name's Ben Dover. Oh, very funny. I said, no kidding. How do you think I felt going through grade school with that name?
Exactly.
You want to make fun of me because of that? I'll have your supervisor over there doing to you what the Kennedys did to Marilyn Monroe.
Transfer me to HR.
Yeah. Anybody got some cool tools that they've been using lately? Maybe on the offense side?
Physical stuff. And then Responder has an update to what was it?
Did you say Responder? Lawrence is still working on that?
No, there's a new one. Pretender is what it is now.
Oh, yeah.
That one's cool.
You blew my mind for a second there because I was like one of the 3 people supporting him on Patreon forever, and then he just kind of stopped dev, and I'm like, all right, I'm not gonna keep going with that.
And now instead of Crack Map, we have NetExec, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, we're talking about digital tools?
Yeah.
We're talking pen testing tools. I was talking about Ruler before, which is an old school one from SensePost. It's on their GitHub, and I really like that one if I can just get into any mailbox, because then I can turn it into a shell on the computer, and that's pretty cool stuff. Empire, which is now ancient, and everybody knows about.
I remember when that was
before when Josh was talking about typing console commands from a command prompt. I'm like, pretty good case to just paste an Empire payload right in there, and get a shell that way. And I thought that's where you're going to go with it, but then you kind of didn't, and I was like,
it was out of scope. They wouldn't let us do it. But I want to say they had just stopped supporting that repo at the time too.
That's not in scope. No attacker ever.
I know, right? Yeah. What are you gonna do? Big business. They like their walls.
With Graph Strike.
Yeah.
I'm doing some research on that now.
CrowdStrike. We'll see how you positive, even if it's not.
Using Microsoft Graph as a C2.
Nice. I was doing like some C2 testing and before GitHub caught on, but they had a C2 out there that you could use GitHub as the actual C2 itself, where you'd pass it a message and then your C2 would check it and then pass messages back and forth over Git.
You can do that with Slack and Telegram, and I just heard another one with Microsoft Teams. Seems pretty
Well, you can do anything with Teams. You can break into anything. I mean, as if it does, unless it, crashes and destroys.
If they lock Teams down well enough, it prevents a lot of the attack surface there, though. Like a lot of groups will leverage Teams and reach out to an employee pretending to be your help desk unless you have locked that shit down properly.
Yeah, one of the things I did on an engagement with Teams is I used my student account for the institution I was going to on my company, the company issued laptops Teams instance, and then I would just download things from their side and upload it through my my educational login that they didn't stop. So I'm like, wow, this is easy. Exfil. Or people have LastPass. The LastPass lets you upload files, and half the time the organizations don't block that either. But you didn't hear it from me.
I was amazed when I was talking to Zach Voorhees, the Google whistleblower guy, that he exfiltrated those documents literally just by plugging in a thumb drive and downloading them to it. I'm like, I really thought there was more to it than that. Is that
some drive lockouts don't always? Some drive lockouts don't always work. But what I used to do at a company that I used to work for, they asked me to make an effective thumb drive stopper. And I went down to the store and got the 99-cent store and got a tube of super glue and just filled in all of the USB ports with super glue.
Yeah, a lot of
Winning.
people say to do that.
Works.
Yeah,
And
so
They
that's
also
a,
have little
See-
modules you can just stick in the USB ports. And you have to have a key to take out.
yeah,
I
but
like
that's
to
come on,
think
a
that-
key,
Oh,
hello?
a key's gonna stop me.
How many of us right now are within arm's reach of a
Why
lockpick
don't-
set?
can't you just disable it with GPO?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can, and you can also get around that, and you can complain and whine. Let me tell you about the tail wagging the dog. Whenever you have a problem like that, when you use GPOs, somebody somewhere will complain that it's inhibiting their ability to do their job, and they will cry, bitch, kick their feet, wet their pants until somebody allows them to do it. It happens all the time.
Weird.
I scold admins about this all the time, and sometimes I even school them. I'm like, you do not let the tail wag the dog. Well, I want to look at Facebook. I want to look at porn. I want to be able to watch my dog at home through my camera instead of doing my job. I want to be
Like,
able
don't
to
you have
plug
a
in this.
phone, bro?
Yeah, do your phone.
I'm like, I want to
well-
take this, thumb drive that I found in the parking lot and plug it into my work computer. And I have done things.
There you go.
Yeah.
I
Well,
have done things
to your point,
like carved out. Taken like a Dremel and carved out USB ports to stop people from doing this. So yeah,
Yeah.
you can do it with the GPO, but it's also pretty easy to get around.
yeah,
The
I
human
like
element
Edward
is always
Snowden's
what you say.
story. If you guys probably know this, yeah, his story was that he downloaded it all to an SD drive, all the files that he took, and he stuck it inside one of the walls of his come on guys, help me out here. Like the Rubik's Cube, and then he threw the Rubik's Cube to the security guard as he was walking through the scanner, and they threw it back to him
Nice.
on the other side of the scanner, and that's how he got through.
I like to think that's a
Oh, yeah.
bullshit story, and he just said it because it sounds cool.
That's brilliant.
What kind of scanner would you be walking through in an office building that would detect a thumb drive in your pocket?
Well, the whatever the
Yeah,
NSA.
he was working for the NSA.
Yeah, but even the NS, you would need like what, an X-ray machine? You have to
Yeah,
walk
sure.
through you have a walk-through X-ray machine or a metal detector or something. I did something once where I put a thumb drive inside of a stick of deodorant. I disassembled the deodorant stick, and there I took out one of the spacers and put a thumb
Yeah.
drive in there and put it all back together, and
Okay.
managed to get that in and out of some places that would definitely not do it. The other thing you can do, and this actually preys on social engineering as well, a box of tampons. You'd be surprised how many security guards will not go
I've used
digging
that
in a box
trick.
of tampons.
So
That's
I went to
good.
school in a really rough area, and we had a metal detector at my high school, and I had to go through said metal detector. And yes, it was sensitive enough to pick up a quarter in your pocket. Like, they were like turbo afraid because we had some really bad incidents. Well, I needed to get a bad USB onto the school system, and I mean, who doesn't need to bad USB their school at some point? You're an American student after all. So what I used to do was slide my USBs into tampon boxes.
Nice.
I've also used the good old-fashioned metal mug trick, and then just handing the mug to the security guard, and then just walking through because they never looked inside.
Better go clink, 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 clink.
You would think it would, but if you wrap it, nah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, some of those tumblers have a false bottom.
Yep.
Oh, they would check for false bottoms because
No, I mean they're built into it. You don't have to do it. You literally can pull the bottom off. And it's I don't know why they have it. I got a Yeti that's like that.
Oh,
And it
that's
doesn't
Probably for
appear to-
thermal reasons.
I would
Yeah.
imagine it's for like those supplements, like it's one of those blender bottles with the supplement cup at the bottom, so that you can take your pills with you on the go.
There you go. Yep. That or
One of
it's
my
a
friends
soup
had
cup.
her Motrin pulled that way because they knew to look for that, but they never looked inside the actual like liquid goes here part of the mug.
Yeah, see, if it were me, I would get a thermos or something and stick your thumb drive in something, maybe like vacuum seal it, stick it in a dark liquid. They're not gonna touch it.
That would work also way better for you than the tampon box. Just saying, dude.
Significant.
I just thought of one right on the spot. You could take a vape because everybody's carrying around vapes these days. Just take a vape and take it apart, slide it inside the vape, put it all back
Oh,
together.
a lot of vapes can be hacked and used for storing data.
Yeah, I
They have all
gotta.
these displays and
Mine
shit
runs
and-
Android.
Yeah, some of those fancy ones actually have firmware on it that you can do that shit with.
And hell, I mean, even a good cell phone, can store data in it, and they're not going to. Oh, you got a kid with a cell phone. What are you going to do? Are you going to pull out your Celebrite and start whacking on it? No, you're a $4 an hour security guard looking for AR-15s, not cell phones.
And there's a cool trick around that, but I'm not going to say it publicly.
I don't have it with me, but they sell a metal card that has part like the 10 Commandments or something on it that will set off a metal detector. Nobody ever checks the wallet. Ever. Nobody ever checks the wallet.
Except if you're Sledge and you have Kevin's card in there.
No. You just
I was so
if
somebody
does it, you just pull out the fucking the Jesus card, the commandment card.
Oh, that would be
You
interesting.
can literally
have
play
like
the
both
Jesus
cards.
card.
Having a hollowed out,
There we go.
a hollowed out crucifix that you hide a thumb drive inside of,
That's cool.
and then you say, "Hey, that religious freedom, don't touch this." And
Holy data, Batman.
it was blessed by Father Bend Me Over, so you can't touch it.
Yeah.
Father Vincent blessed this.
If you want to get stuff through TSA, you can declare a gun and put a bunch of USB sticks in there and put a lock on it.
Yep. Seen that.
Yeah. I accidentally took a knife through, and because it folded flat and it goes into the slot of your wallet, they didn't see it.
They didn't
Yeah,
see it.
The
I had
Atlanta
to
airport
throw
didn't
so many
catch it.
knives away because I forgot.
There was a guy who ended up on an airplane with an actual hatchet that somehow got through his freaking
Jesus.
carry-on.
The knife.
The funny thing is,
Yeah, sort of like that.
the
No
stuff
idea what
they
you're talking about at all.
No,
The
I've
stuff
never
that
seen
they
that before. It's
do-
definitely not very affordable.
I had
stuff they
some
do
9mm
barrels
cartridges in my bag that I got caught with, and I was like, "Shit, my bad. I just got done shooting." So I had to go get the swabs and everything for gunpowder. I'm like, "Yes, I'm gonna fail. Let me go wash my hands."
Do you know a funny way to get past that in Vegas? Go to a gun range and buy something and get the receipt.
Yep.
And if they test you for gunpowder and it comes back positive, you go, "Oh yeah, I went to the firing range. Here's the receipt from ABC Guns." And they go, "Oh, okay." And then you go right on through.
I get the sense you've done this before.
Well, I used to.
We all have at some point.
I used to fly into Vegas every year for DEF CON, and I got popped several times for gunpowder. And they told me, they said, "You went to the range, didn't you?" And I said, "Damn right I did." And they said, "Okay, well, blah, 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 blah." And then they told you, if you just bring a receipt that says you went to a gun range, well, there you go.
That's
Call a
actually
friend.
pretty useful information.
Did you know
Call a
that
buddy
the
and have
stuff
him claim to be the gun range manager.
the stuff that they take from you at TSA, that the TSA agents themselves don't keep, goes into a bin and then goes to an auction house
Yeah.
and gets
You can buy
auctioned
that
off.
shit.
Wow, somebody's getting a lot of shampoo.
Yeah, you can. No, it's pins and knives and all kinds. Yeah, you can buy them in bulk.
Like,
And a
someone
lot
just
of weed
hit me up,
vapes. A
because
lot
that's
of them.
a really good way for me to get weed vapes in massive quantities. I mean, nothing. I don't live in a legal state, so I better shut up now.
I've never
Nice
heard
little-
anybody get caught with that though.
I've heard of like all my friends getting caught with that.
Huh, weird.
But then again, I live in Tennessee, so it's a state where
An
that's
Uber
just
driver
happening.
friend of mine in Vegas bought one of those pallets from the airport confiscations, and it was filled with weed vapes, like so many, and still containing actual like material. So
Oh,
they don't apparently, even as a federal agency, don't give a shit. They'll just auction it right off. So that
Well,
is
they
very
need money. They're
weird.
feds. They need money.
can we also just take a moment to talk about the jungle juice that's outside of the TSA, where they make you pour all your liquid beverages into the hole? Because I swear they make the underlings drink that stuff. They mess up.
Can we talk about why you should never
Totally.
use airport Wi-Fi, even if it's free, and how they continue to track you after you leave the airport if they caught you using the airport Wi-Fi, if you did anything that they consider suspicious?
If
Rotate your MAC
you're
address.
using airport Wi-Fi, shame on you anyway. Like you deserve that.
I just do
You know,
it for
there's a
funsies.
huge debate right now going on Twitter where there's a guy who's talking about how Wi-Fi is so safe and everyone's freaking out and you're just getting ripped off, and it's perfectly safe to use public Wi-Fi, and you don't need a VPN. And he's actually spent the last like 2 weeks setting up a lab and showing how it's perfectly safe and you can't do this and you can't do that. And the thing is, the tracking thing has never come up. It's never come up, and it's like,
Ugh, dude, I back in like
next time you go to
20.
DEF CON and you walk through the door of the West Hall, read the writing on the door, okay? Because it says we use technology that tracks where you are and where you're going and on all that. And if you don't agree to this, then don't come past this door.
Mm-hmm.
Well said. There's also one thing I wanted to bring up before I forget, and just wanted to say for Johnny here, I hope he's doing better. I saw this on Twitter, and Johnny's great. He started, or at least was heavily involved in Hackers for Charity. Really good guy, and it seems he's in the hospital in Ireland. So just a shout out, and I really do genuinely hope you're okay, Johnny, and that whatever's wrong, you get better.
Yeah, what do we know what happened to him?
He's been fairly vague, but he has been responsive to people's questions. It's just he's only accepting wrong questions, so it's kind of
look out for that Irish whiskey then.
Maybe, but regardless of that, just wanted to give a shout out to Johnny, and seriously, I hope you're okay, dude.
Moment of silence.
And it's moment over. Getting back into fuckery.
We love fuckery.
I love that's what we've been talking about, fuckery the whole time.
Yeah, right. Isn't that the whole cast?
So, they don't make the freaking Wi-Fi coconut anymore that Hack 5 used to make, but I figured out. No, the coconut specifically. They still make pineapples. Coconuts, they had manufacturing issues. That's the one that's got 14 Wi-Fi radios on it.
The Wi-Fi Hydra.
Looked like a grenade, or was that still a pineapple?
It looks like a puck microphone from like Plantronics.
Oh, I'm not aware of that one.
But the Wi-Fi Hydra or the Wi-Fi Hydra is just as good, and it's homebrew.
Semi-specs.
Yeah, it's online. The guy made it, and he made a project out of it.
Definitely send it to me. I was looking at buying a bunch of RT2800 radios and then just putting them in a like a dongle holder, which we would otherwise call a hub, if you're not retarded and can't think of words. Because what I figured out with these little freaking $13 piece of shit TLI net routers is that you can flash the OpenWRT firmware on it, and after you have the official firmware on there, you can use a GitHub repo to put the Pineapple firmware on this. And when I connected the Pineapple, it's missing most of the antennas. It can't do all the cool shit. So for shits and giggles, I plugged it into my Coconut, and it showed up as like 12 radios, and they all worked for all the attacks I tried. So what I wanted to do was make a bunch of cheap Pineapple clones with cheap antennas and make them as like giveaway things I can give away. Because I'm not going to spend money to give away a real Pineapple, but $13 is really not a barrier to entry.
ESP32s.
I have a bunch of ESP32s.
I know, I gave them to you.
Yeah,
I've got like 100 of them.
Yeah, and I use those for the deauth part, but that's different. I'm not going to be using those to actually do an injection attack.
Yeah, you can get like a dozen of them and put them on the same board. That's kind of what the Wi-Fi Hydra does.
There's a limitation with the ESP S3. So the limitation being if you're trying to do the PCAP, it doesn't capture the EAP frames. So I won't be able to capture a four-way handshake that I can then offload the crack, which is the whole point of Wi-Fi hacking generally, is I want to capture the handshake. If it's not capturing EAP and just discards it, it doesn't matter to me. So like, that's why I want to find a way to really do it cheap. Like if this is $13 and I can put the Pineapple firmware on there and get it running fairly solid, why not then up that just a little bit by putting better antennas on it and make some real ghetto-ware?
We can engrave them and make them podcasts.
Yeah, I was thinking of taking a bunch of these. Maybe we could do the engraving like that, make it like CounterSurveil, and have them like DEF CON giveaways.
Yeah, I've been making them at night, right? So I now have a laser engraver, just messing with shit. So
you need some help my way.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
I annoy Deltrai when I need something 3D printed.
Yeah, I've got a couple of fridges back here too. I've got an X1 Carbon and a Halo T1.
We can't see anything behind you.
It's
We can
really
barely
dark.
see you.
It's intentional.
But hey,
If I
fellas,
need-
we need to
If I
start
need
wrapping up
woodworking,
soon.
I'll reach out to
So let's
Sledge.
finish up with CrowdStrong real quick.
CrowdStrong. Let's finish up with you real quick.
We were finishing up with me for what?
You were showing something off. Let's see it.
Oh yeah, the printers. So I have the printers. If you need something.
Whatever you were showing or holding up to the camera, we couldn't really see.
Oh, you're talking about this.
Yeah, I can't.
That.
Yeah, your backlighting's not allowing us to see it. Block the light a little higher. Go a little higher with it.
Put it higher up.
There you go.
There we go. I
Yeah,
see
it's
some
sort of
letters.
focusing.
Wait, maybe if I make you bigger, that'll work. There we go.
Better?
I see hack as the third letter.
Hack.
Hold on. I might just be bad.
Drizzle.
So let's see if I can't hit it with some light.
That's
No.
better.
This might just suck. No.
There it is.
Too much.
And if you two want something that's
I like it.
incomprehensible, reach out to CrowdStrong. And the numbers it's all backwards because your video's flipped.
Yeah. I also have it right side
There we
on the
go.
other side. I was actually using this as a tester to see if I could figure out if my engraver would engrave it. The answer is yes, it works. It's just I had to figure out how it worked.
What do you have? The engraver mounted on like a CNC or something? Like
Yeah,
how
it's actually an X-Tool D1 Pro.
really?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
One of my
That's right.
buddies
You still
uses
have the one of those I left at your house?
Me?
No, Deltrai.
Say it again.
You still have that freaking what was it the X tool thing? The stupid white thing, the big one that I left over there.
I don't have any X tool. I don't think I have any X tools.
All right. Never mind.
Yeah, I've got that one, and then I'm going to take pretty high advantage of the high schools around here, sell a whole bunch of these, and go buy a much bigger and better one. That's the plan.
You know what I like about high schools?
Oh, don't say
And parents love to buy shit that's branded from them for football or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, that's exactly what you love about high schools.
That's where I was going.
Now everybody's got that idea, and you're going to be having some
That
competition.
is super fine. They don't know where I'm at. Doesn't matter. If somebody else wants to go put in the money to do all the things and make the stuff and do all the, please do that, boo boo. Have at it. In fact, if you need help, holler at your boy. I'm on X, Twitter, whatever. Holler at me. I'll be glad to point you in the right direction.
Point
No
me in the
issue.
right direction. I like side hustles.
Yeah.
I was making freaking business cards for people that were just RFID cards that I'd put their logo on, and I literally cost me like maybe $1 at most for each card. Usually closer to 40 cents, and I would sell them for like $8. And people would be perfectly fine with it. And yeah, there are a lot of good side hustles out there.
Yep.
I made a bunch of dick butts.
You did. I have one around here somewhere. Here's that dick butt. Technically, our buddy made those, and then we just printed them. Well, I don't know where the dick butt is, but I do have a ding ding. If that counts.
Nice.
I gave one of the big
Ding.
ones to a friend of mine that's in a band, Fight From Within, and
No,
they have it
you-
as an Easter egg in some of their music videos.
Didn't they end up with like half of that box?
I'm completely empty now.
Jesus,
And-
I think I ended up with one, maybe two.
It was like
Kodak has-
112, I think.
Complimented your printers over there.
Thank you. I love
What is,
them.
what
They're
is
great.
what is that printer that's behind you?
Which one?
The gray one?
That's the Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon.
Yeah, and
If I can get this to focus.
is it the shit? Is it?
Oh
the
no, it's great. It's fantastic. It's a fantastic printer. I have 8 other printers, and that is by far. I mean, it's sitting behind me. This thing is absolutely just not having me.
Yeah, that thing retails for like $1,000, doesn't it?
It's on sale right now.
16 when it first came out. So I've had this for almost 2 years now. But
Yeah,
I love
Bamboo is
this
having
thing.
a pre-holiday fire sale right now.
And it's
Use
probably
code DELTRY at checkout for no discount whatsoever.
Yeah, I love this thing. If you're looking for one that's not like it is bar none the best prints I've ever had. It does take a little bit. There's some software tweaking you can do. There is no well, you have Orca Slicer, which gives you a little bit more control over it than Bamboo's does. But like I love it. I as I said, I have 8 other printers, 8 other FDM printers, and obviously this one's sitting on the desk right behind me, right? So like, and they do not pay me. They should pay me, God knows, but they do not pay me for that. So I genuinely believe in the product and I use it quite frequently, actually.
We should have an episode about 3D printing.
Absolutely.
I personally use Halo Sky, and it's been
that would be this one.
Yep, it's awesome. It's just messy.
So FDM, it uses the plastic spools, and this one is resin, so it's liquid. That's UV. We'll go over that another day. Anyway, big difference in the two, and that's why I have both of them there.
Yep.
But yes, we can absolutely do that.
So with that, let's call it a night.
It's also really awkward to still be on the like screen here if you want to like drop me for a bit.
No,
because it's just me. And I'm like,
it's just you forever and ever. All right, so thank you all for joining. Hopefully, some of our temporary co-hosts will come back and join us again. And Sledge, thank you specifically for including me in your Vishing assessment, as well as including Evelyn. It was a lot of fun. And next time, it's going to be more fun.
Jackass.
No, you don't get a thank you. You know why?
No.
You already do that shit all the time. You're fucking used to it. I
wasn't here. I got left out.
Yeah, well,
I want to be where the hackers are.
I kind of mistook you for Josh for a second there. I didn't understand.
I would have traded you so readily, dude.
But no, y'all call
now I got to go write the report.
Good luck.
Yeah,
I got to be ready for work.
Then you get paid. Getting paid is one of the best parts.
Mm-hmm.
Although sometimes doing the assessment is more fun than even the paycheck, just depending on what you're doing.
Yep.
I digress. All right. What should we use as an outro this week? I think we have this shitty old outro. Let's use that.
We haven't played.
All right, hackers and cyber.
Go ahead. We haven't played. Say it, Sledge.
We haven't played the theme song in a while.
Yeah, where's that?
There you go. We'll play that. You want to use just the chorus or the whole freaking thing?
Oh man, run the whole thing.
The chorus and then your traditional outro where he's like, "Why are you still here?"
There you go.
We need to see.
One. God damn it.
You're doing great.
Man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're just gonna go with the skinny version here. Because the other one's not uploaded right now.
We're free in the spotlight, shining through the late night. Smart contracts are lying, auditing, they're defying. CounterSurveil in my ear. Security we engineer. Learn the truth, don't disappear. CounterSurveil, we're right here. Crypto dreams and data streams. Listen close, it's closer than it seems.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.